Hello and welcome. You're watching News Central Television. I am Judith at TV. It's time for News Central now, and here are the top stories at this hour. The former Vice President Atiku Abubakar leads high-powered delegation of politicians to visit former President Muhammadu Buhari in Kaduna State. Rivers women march in large numbers demanding Governor Fubara's reinstatement. And protesters in South Africa accuse government of complicity over gender-based attacks. Details in a moment. And let's start by telling you that former presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, on Friday led a high-powered delegation of opposition politicians to visit former President Muhammadu Buhari at his Kaduna residency. The Abubakar entourage had former governors Nasir El-Rufai and Aminu Damboa of Kaduna State and Sokoto State. The former vice president did not disclose the details of the meeting's agenda, but its outcome as well. But it had speculators rising about prospects of the 2027 presidential election. He took to his verified X handle on Friday to disclose the visit, describing it as a wonderful time. A viral video of the visit shows other top-ranking politicians who also made the visit. And off to Port Harcourt, the capital of Rivers State, Nigeria's oil capital, where a crowd of women on Friday flooded the Aba Road area of the city, demanding the reinstatement of the suspended governor of Rivers State, Siminalayi Fubara, and his deputy, Ngozi Odu. The protest began along the major road and advanced to the Rivers State Government House, featuring placards with bold inscriptions such as "Bring Back Fubara," "Save Our Democracy," "Is the law different for Rivers State?" and "God of Justice, arise for Rivers State." They describe themselves as wives and mothers, chanting songs of solidarity and appealing directly to President Bola Tinubu to lift the suspension on Governor Fubara and reinstate all democratic institutions in the state. In the meantime, the Nigerian Bar Association has relocated its 2025 annual general conference from Port Harcourt to Enugu following President Bola Tinubu's recent declaration of emergency rule in Rivers State. The association stated that although the initial announcement of Port Harcourt as the host city for this year's conference was met with enthusiasm, the appointment of a sole administrator, a retired military officer reportedly employing a command-style approach, means the city can no longer be considered a viable host. This was disclosed in a statement jointly signed by NBA President Afam Osigwe, senior advocate of Nigeria, the association's general secretary, as well as the chairman of the conference planning committee. The NBA said that its National Executive Council reaffirmed that the state of emergency declared in Rivers State violates Section 305 of the 1999 Constitution. It noted that although the sole administrator appears in civilian attire, his governing style is military in nature and undermines democratic principles.
We gather in every city of choice to discuss issues of law as it affects the Nigerian states. And for this year, Rivers State was chosen, Port Harcourt as a location to be specific. That decision had been reached before the state of emergency was declared by the president, wherein he deposed an elected governor. So, but you know, in the nature of the NBA conference, it is the governor of the state that receives lawyers from all over the federation and declare the event open. That is the tradition of the NBA in our NBA conference. In the case under reference, by the state of emergency declared by the president and the subsequent appointment of a sole administrator, the said ground and the land for a conference is hereby desecrated because he is appointed under an unknown law. And he can also pretend over lawyers are ministers in the temple of justice. We cannot carry out that function in a land that is desecrated by undemocratic misadventures. That is why every sane and well-meaning lawyer in the country is happy that the venue for this year's conference, has been changed to Enugu as against Rivers State.
Away from Rivers State, the federal government, in collaboration with the Edo State government, have set up a fact-finding committee to look into the circumstances surrounding the recent killings of 16 Kano-bound drivers, or rather travelers, in Uromi, the administrative headquarters of Isan Northeast local government area. Edo State Governor Senator Monday Okpolo disclosed this when he received a high-powered delegation from Kano State led by the Deputy Governor of the state, Comrade Aminu Abdusalam Gwazu, at the Government House in Benin City. Okpolo said President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is not happy over what happened in Uromi, and he is determined to ensure the state and nation are safe for everybody to live and do business. Governor Okpolo and the delegation from Kano also visited Uromi, where they met with members of the Hausa community in the area. A group of human rights lawyers known as the Lawyers for Civil Liberties have called on Nigeria's National Judicial Council to investigate alleged constitutional violation in the appointment of the Imo State Chief Judge. They spoke to newsmen in Abuja, saying that the appointment of the Imo State's acting Chief Judge violates Section 271(4) of the 1999 Constitution, and called on the state government to adhere to the rule of law and strictly obey legal provisions guiding such appointments. The group adds that breaches to laid down provisions of the law violates the sanctity of the nation's judicial process and undermines public trust in the judiciary.
After the NJC took decision against the previous chief judge of Imo State when issues as in regards to age falsification came up, we believe that that would be an opportunity for the state to right its steps and follow the constitutional provision. But we were surprised, and dismayed, as many other Nigerians were too, when it became very obvious that the person that the state appointed next was the fourth in line in judicial hierarchy against the extant provision of Section 271 sub 4.
We are also saying that at this point, there should be consequences for juniors that present themselves to act where their seniors are supposed to be. I do not know if it's a pattern with Imo State that the fourth position thing, but in this case, the judiciary, the nation is watching, and we will not sit back and keep quiet while the whole scenario in Imo State makes mockery of the judiciary.
Host communities of oil mining lease OML 25 in Kula Akukuturu local government area of Rivers State have expressed opposition to the resumption of oil exploration activities in the oil block without their involvement or consent. They are demanding that their concerns and interests be addressed before any further exploration or production activities take place. OML 25 was operated by Shell Petroleum Company and recently divested to the Renaissance Group amid protracted dispute with host communities across the Niger Delta over negligence and environmental degradation accusations. The host communities of OML 25 are insisting that Shell Company must remediate polluted environment from its over 50 years of operation and leave a clean slate for the Renaissance Group before they will be allowed to resume exploration at the OML 25 domiciled in their community.
we have not seen any significant improvement from Shell. We have told Renaissance our experience with Shell, and that Shell have so much liabilities with us and several issues that have not been settled. The same thing applicable to other Niger Delta communities. The remediations they have not done. There are a lot of remediations work to be done. But now that Shell is going, we have told them we will not cooperate until those liabilities are accepted. They have agreed to discuss it further with government. They are not categorical on whether they are to carry out their liabilities or not, but we assure them if they will carry out those liabilities, we will definitely work with them.
As a youth president of this country and from this extraction, I will agitate before any operations or any engagement starts, the Rangers will engage with the community stakeholders and get employment from them before any engagement or any exploration starts. And that is me, as a youth president, I will say to Renenza. And that's where I will always clamor for. 67 years, you have taken oil from one people, Ukola people, that give you not less than 3 oil blocks, 24, 25, and even 72 and 74 in the Atlantic Ocean. You never employed one person in the region. And today, you have engaged us. If I'm lying, Shell should tell the world who they have employed in Kola community.
The recent Omoyele 25, which has been in contention for several years, these same people are the ones that have been mediating. And up till now, we've not seen a visible result. And today, we, the Kola people, are saying, we want Renaissance to give us an audience.
An escalating crisis that is hitting close to home for millions of Lagos residents is the recent housing rent inflations. Rent costs are spiraling, leaving many struggling to keep a roof over their heads. From Ikorodu to Lekki, the story is the same. Rents are rising and the pressure is mounting. News Central's correspondent Bettina Nweli brings us the full report. Take a look.
Lagos, Nigeria's bustling commercial capital, is no stranger to high living costs, but house rent inflation has become a growing concern. In recent months, many tenants across the city have seen rent increases ranging from 20 to 50%, with little to no improvement in housing conditions.
The high rents, you then see the agent coming to tell you that you need to pay 20% for the agent fee. Then the what do you even call it again? They call on that one legal. They call that one to is 20%. Then they come again and tell you damage. That one, in fact, I paid 300%. That one is more than the 20% they collected for the house that I paid. So even this morning, the colleague was saying that, oh, you want to get an apartment for the brother of just a room apartment, 500K. And other charges is 500K. So it's crazy.
Right now, not even in Lagos alone, everywhere it is that bad. People complain a lot, and we hope Landlords Association can do something about it.
All those landlords of a thing, they should reduce house rent. You understand? Because not everybody could afford building houses or buying houses on their own for now. You have to stay for somebody's house.
Many people are outside that they cannot rent house because before they can find money to eat, to do other things. So that one alone is take all over the money. Before we rent house per month, maybe 1,500, 2,000, 1,800. Now when you want to rent house per month, 15,000, 10,000, even the one of 25,000. So nobody can avoid that. It's too much.
Experts attribute the inflation to a combination of factors such as rapid urbanization, a lack of affordable housing, and inflationary pressures affecting construction materials. However, the routine complaints from locals underscores the urgent need for the urgent reform in the housing sector. As the cost of living continues to rise, it is the responsibility of stakeholders to work together to ensure Lagosians are not priced out of their homes.
Most people are not earning much. the economy is not sustaining for most of the workers in Lagos. As a matter of fact, people who are even able to rent these are traded properties are people who are all working in Nigeria per se. They are working online, they are working globally. So where are the doctors going to stay? Most of the doctors can afford monthly rents. Most of the teachers can afford monthly rents. We need the state government and the federal government to go back to providing affordable estates. They have to start building affordable estates. Because right now we are having shortage in home supply. So the government has to start building government and state, federal housing estates that will be affordable.
Housing advocates are urging the Lagos State government to take bold action, from rent control regulations to massive investment in affordable housing. Meanwhile, tenants are calling for transparency, support, and fairer policies. As Lagos continues to grow, ensuring safe and affordable shelter remains one of its most urgent challenges. In Lagos, for News Central, Bettina Nwili.
You're watching news now on News Central Television. Let's go on a short break, shall we? When we return, the former president, Goodluck Jonathan, wins global award in Seoul, South Korea. But which? We'll tell you that after the break. Stay with us. And you're welcome back. Let's circle back to Port Harcourt, shall we? Nigeria's oil capital, where a crowd of women on Friday flooded the Aba Road area of the city, demanding the reinstatement of the suspended governor of Rivers State, Siminalayi Fubara, and his deputy, Ngozi Odo. Now, they were seen on the streets displaying placards and just expressing their displeasure over the suspension of both the governor and his deputy. And now to give us a bit of insight into this, we're joined by Gloria Harry. She's a politician and opinion leader in Rivers State, and she joins me now from Port Harcourt to give us a bit of assessment on the state of things from the protest to the emergency rule. Ms. Harry, many thanks for doing this with us. I mean, let's just get started because we're pressed for time. We saw this massive crowd of women earlier on Friday marching for the suspended governor. Do you see that yielding any result?
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming.
The thing is, right now we have mixed reactions, mixed feelings, because as much as everybody has, we all have our point of view and the right to express those views. These women who came out today requesting for the reinstatement of the governor and the deputy, they are in their own rights. They have the right to do that. But at the same time, we have people who feel the governor shouldn't come back, because the political scene or the political situation in the state had deteriorated to the point where everybody held their breath, not knowing what would happen next. Now we're talking about politics, and don't forget that we're talking about interests. They are there to protect their interests. What if the pro-Wike group also mobilized and come out with their own protest saying they don't want Sim to return? Then it means there will be anarchy. But for me, I think we should just allow peace to reign in the state. Sim had the opportunity to rule, and whatever decisions he made them knowing the pros and the cons. I contested in 2023. I contested for the House of Reps. And at that time, I bought form with my money. And, most of us were denied the opportunity to even contest or even aspire to contest. And when they talk about interest, at that point, political leaders were there fronting their own candidates. So these people were talking about, including Sim, he was brought by people, not just Wiki. So it's unfair to say the Minister for FCT is trying to impose his will on the Rivers State. That's not correct, because I was a victim of the 2023 elections. I bought form. I was not allowed to do what I felt I wanted to do.
Ms. Harry,
we all read.
Yes. I find it interesting, your take. And can I just ask, right, given that the NBA have moved their annual conference that was supposed to be in Port Harcourt to Enugu, and have repeatedly stated that what's happening in Rivers State, the emergency rule and the suspension of the governor is not, by law, illegal, are you saying that there's anarchy on the streets and what the president did was fair and just? And when you say anarchy, can you describe what you mean by anarchy?
No, I'm saying that if they mobilize the wicked people to have the rights, these people definitely, obviously, are for sin. So, you know, we have two actors in this game or in this play. We have the wicked and we have the sin. So now the sin people, they've mobilized and they've come out. So what if the wicked people to mobilize and they come out?
So are you saying, so are you saying that the NBA as well is Sims people as well? Are you saying that the critics who have approached this issue at a legal point are also Sim people? Because they're critics of this move, and I've said that this is against the law and it sets a dangerous precedent. Are you saying that they are also Sims people as well?
When they say it's against the law, who ruled? The Supreme Court ruled. And I'm sure the Supreme Court, members of the Supreme Court, the respected Supreme Court judges are also members of NBA. So for me, you know, if we're saying we need to sanitize this, our democracy, then the judiciary and the electoral organ, that's INEC, should stand up and defend our democracy. Because whether we like it or not, we have people with interests. We are all humans. So you cannot divorce the political aspects in everybody, whether they are doctors, whether they are lawyers, whatever they are. So if they're saying that this thing that happened is not right, then they caused this thing. The NBA puts us in this situation.
How did the NBA put you? How did the NBA put you in this situation?
Because, like I said, the respected Supreme Court justices are all, I'm not a lawyer, but I'm guessing they're supposed to be members of the Nigerian Bar Association. You understand? So if their respected justices or judges made this pronouncement, they would have looked at the law. They would have looked at all the circumstances or situations available. I'm not a lawyer, so I don't want to comment too much on it.
Okay,
but what I'm trying to say is that we should not rule out the human factor in it. All of us have interest. As I'm here, I have my interest. So the NBA president...
And what's your interest, very quickly, because we're almost out of time. You were saying that if they're on the street, it seems...
My interest is that peace should return to Rivers State. So if we have a sole administrator, let them wait. Let us wait and see what will happen at the end of the day. Not for us to try to take laws into our hands. Yes, we have the right to protest. Fine, good, no problems. But what I'm saying is everybody is trying to protect their interests. That's the thing. And that's why I made reference to the 2023 elections when most of us, including myself, were not allowed to participate because people had interest, people had people that were projecting, and some of us were seen like people who were not part of their plans. So we shouldn't fool ourselves. What is happening right now in Rivers State started even before the whole thing broke down. So if we're going to look at it, we need to look at it holistically, not for people to make comments, not for people to...
You seem to be on both sides. At one end you say that we should look at it from a human angle, and from one end you're saying political angle. I wish I had enough time for us to continue, but we're out of time. I must say thank you, Ms. Harry, for taking out the time to join us. Ms. Gloria Harry, she is a politician, and she joined us to give us a bit of insight following the women protesting and asking for a reinstatement of the governor and deputy of Rivers State. We switch gears now away from Rivers, this time as the Minister of Interior, Olubunmi Tunji-Ojo, has unveiled a new expatriate administration policies, visa reforms, and other initiatives during a crucial stakeholder sensitization event in Lagos. The gathering aimed to enlighten attendees about recent changes and updates to Nigeria's expatriate administration and visa policies. Now, these reforms are designed to promote ease of doing business and attract foreign investment, among other objectives. News Center's Igbalani Omoni tells us more.
In a follow-up to the March stakeholders meeting, where a 10-member committee was formed to address challenges and propose solutions for the sector, the Minister of Interior, Olubunmi Tunji-Ojo, is here at another stakeholder meeting to sensitize the public on the new expatriate administration and visa reforms. The minister begins by outlining the changes to the expatriate quota administration.
The fact is that we're creating jobs, but a larger chunk of those jobs are not going to people. And what is the essence of quota? It is if there is no Nigerian that has the capacity to do the job, then you can bring somebody, then you will not have a Nigerian as an understudy, so that there will be knowledge transfer. But in a scenario whereby people, Nigerians in some places, are relegated perpetually to support roles, this government will not tolerate it.
He then discusses reforms for obtaining business permit and surpassed process.
The issue of the surpassed, don't be scared. We are not increasing your surpassed fee. As it is today, the procedure is you have to go to a Polaris Bank to go and buy form. When you buy form, you pay the bank, you now fill, you take to surpassed center, you will now go and do this. Honestly, there is no country in this type of century that will do that. So please, end to end, your SEPAC will be filled online. Payments done online. There will be a virtual copy to your mail with a QR code and everything. And now the card will be given to you. Will be machine readable card. You cannot fake it.
Another key area addressed is the expatriate understudy scheme and the introduction of the e-visa system.
So we're introducing the e-visa. The e-visa is one that guarantees you visa within 48 hours to Nigeria. The bottlenecks gone. We don't want you to go and lobby anybody to come to Nigeria. You must fill the exit card online. Don't you fill the landing card. That's what I need. And that is a weapon to tackle the issue of visa overstayers.
Let you know the implementation will start on the 1st of May, but magnanimously, the other minister has also agreed that there's going to be a 3-month moratorium or amnesty for anybody that have any issue concerning these processes to rectify, to align, to be online with those processes that will set in place.
The minister notes that all these reforms will take effect from May 1st with a 3-month grace period to allow for transition. Additionally, an expatriate support desk has been set up to ensure seamless resolution of any issues. The new expatriate administration and visa reforms aims to promote transparency, accountability, and economic growth in Nigeria. In Lagos, for News Central, Igbalani Omoni.
The former president, Goodluck Jonathan, has expressed gratitude for receiving the Founders Sunhak Peace Prize at an official ceremony held in Seoul, South Korea. The former president made the announcement on Friday on his X page, describing the award as an honor not only to himself but also to Nigerians and Africans committed to peace and development. He also extended congratulations to fellow award recipients and acknowledged those who made the recognition possible. The Sunhak Peace Prize was established in 2015 and is awarded to persons acknowledged as contributors to peace and human development, especially in areas of sustainable human development, conflict resolution, and ecological conservation. You're watching News Now on News Central Television. Coming up, protesters in South Africa furious at gender-based attacks. We'll tell you all about this just after the break. Join us again. And you're welcome back. The news continues in South Africa, where several hundred people on Friday attended a protest against femicide and gender-based violence in South Africa's capital, Pretoria. The protesters are demanding that President Cyril Ramaphosa declares gender-based violence and femicide a national disaster. Over the years, civil society has engaged government at every level, from high-level strategic policy consultations to grassroots interventions. It has proposed a framework, submitted recommendations, and published reports. It has worked to build a shared understanding of GBV, not just as a personal tragedy, but as a structural and social phenomenon deeply rooted in patriarchy, poverty, and power.
We've signed so many petitions, we've had so many marches. We're a capital of the world, for goodness sake. Our stats speak for themselves. It doesn't even need an explanation. But in essence, we're here because it's unsafe to be a woman, and it's unsafe for children in this country.
Every day, there are cases of gender-based violence, taking place throughout the length and breadth of our country. I mean, those who do statistics will tell you about 1 in X amount of minutes and all of that. If that is not a disaster, what is?
We are crying. We've been talking. My daughter, when she was killed, that day it was a nightmare. I literally ran after my daughter, and the police, they refused to come out and help us.
And in Central Africa, with just 2 days to go until Gabon's presidential election, General Brice Oligui Nguema, the transitional leader and military chief, held his final rally in Libreville. Oligui, the favorite to become the first elected leader since the 2023 coup, has promised a historic win, a historic victory against 7 challengers, including the former prime minister. Oligui, who is seeking a 7-year term, has worked to distance himself from his military background by engaging with younger voters through social media trends. Election results are expected to be announced by April 16th.
La démocratie ne sera plus une promesse lointaine, une réalité vivante. Dans la 5e République, la décentralisation, la libre administration des collectivités locales sera effective. Dans la 5e République, la gouvernance sera efficiente. Et la corruption n'aura plus sa place.
A group of 11 Russians detained in Tunisia last November on allegations of terrorism have been released and will soon head home. This is according to the Russian state media report on Friday. The group was found near the North African country's border with Algeria. Russian media described them as sightseers, but Tunisian police allegedly confiscated equipment from them that did not, quote, correspond to declared tourist purposes, end quote. Russia's embassy in Tunis previously said. Now, neither Russia nor Tunisia has provided details about the case. And in East Africa, the leader of Tanzania's opposition, and that's Tundu Lissu, remains under questioning after his arrest for inciting violence and opposing the upcoming general election. He faces charges related to his campaign for electoral reform under the slogan, "No reforms, no election." Lissu argues that the country's electoral commission, appointed by the president, must be reformed for a fair election. Tanzania, beg your pardon, is set to hold elections in October, where Lissu plans to challenge the president. The opposition leader, who survived an assassination attempt in 2017, has been arrested multiple times for his activism. His treason case is set for April 24th. China has implemented a new 125% tariff on U.S. imports set to take effect tomorrow in response to the ongoing trade dispute with the United States. According to Beijing, the U.S. tariffs are an unjustified violation of international trade rules and basic economic principles, characterizing them as acts of unilateral bullying and coercion. The U.S. has placed a 145% tariff on some Chinese goods as part of the ongoing trade conflict. President Xi Jinping has urged the European Union to join China in opposing these U.S. actions, warning that no country benefits from a tariff war. However, the Chinese government has stated that it will not retaliate further against any additional tariffs imposed by the U.S. And on to South Asia, where the Indian Army is turning to technology in the wake of a powerful earthquake that rocked Myanmar. Robotic mules have been deployed across quake-hit areas to help assess structural damage. Now, these high-tech machines are part of a broader effort to evaluate the scale of destruction caused by the 7.7 magnitude earthquake that struck on March 28th. India was one of the first nations to respond, sending in aid and specialized rescue teams to assist its war-torn neighbor. Now, robotic support is helping navigate treacherous terrain and unstable buildings, giving rescuers crucial insight without putting lives at risk. The use of the robotic mules marks a significant step in disaster response, blending humanitarian aid with cutting-edge innovation. And French Interior Minister has honored Chief Brigadier Olivier Mirande, a member of the elite CRS 29 Mountain Rescue Unit who died during a daring operation in the French Pyrenees. Now, the Chief Brigadier lost his life on Monday, April 7th, after a fatal fall while attempting to rescue a stranded mountaineer in the remote commune of Aragonet. Both him and the climbers tragically fell to their deaths during the operation. On Friday, the minister posthumously awarded the Chief Brigadier with the Lion d'Honneur, France's highest national honor, recognizing his bravery and selfless service. Now, the minister noted that the nation now mourns the loss of a dedicated rescuer whose final mission was one of courage and sacrifice. The fintech sector in Africa is witnessing extraordinary growth, reshaping the continent's economic landscape and creating unparalleled opportunities for financial inclusion. With a youthful, tech-savvy population and an increasing demand for accessible financial services, Africa has emerged as a hub for fintech innovation. However, this immense potential is accompanied by significant challenges that need to be addressed for sustainable growth. On Business Edge, Olawale Bamidele, a digital tech innovator and founder of UX Thrive, discussed the mobile money market, highlighting its positive impact on financial services in Africa and the factors contributing to its success compared to traditional banks. Take a look.
That we're in the age where people want to do things faster. We are in the age where people want to do it faster. I don't want to call it, we like the fast things, but as a matter of truth, it has what has come to stay, as what has come to happen. What are the edge that we have? First of all, documentation. We know the stages or the process of getting to even open a banking account back in the days with traditional bank. All those lapses are already gone. We know when it comes to making payments, all those lapses are already gone. We know when it comes to documentation, when it comes to user-centric, when it comes to the experience of consumer with all this, with traditional banks, all those lapses are gone. So what are we experiencing now with fintech? That's edge over traditional banks. Documentation is part of it. The process is part of it. The easy access is part of it. And generally, the user experience is actually one of the fastest things. And in terms of even growing business, we know what this fintech has done much more better as the traditional banking.
The rising trade tensions between the United States and China present a serious risk to bilateral trade, with projections indicating a possible decline of up to 80% in merchandise trade. Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, Director General of the World Trade Center, raised these concerns, noting that the U.S. and China, as the two largest economies, represent about 3% of global trade. With a 90-day negotiation period now in place, it is essential to engage in discussions to prevent a potential global economic crisis. On Business Edge, Professor Andre Rowe from the University of Stellenbosch Business School provided insight into the potential ripple effects on emerging economies and low-income countries, particularly in Africa, and discussed what coordinated global responses would be necessary to tackle this urgent economic challenge. Take a look.
Depend, of course, on the extent of each country's trade with America. If we want to look at the direct impact. We know that many countries in Africa do now look, in any case, towards China as a bigger trade partner, so it will somehow, to some extent, soften the blow. But really, even though there might not be a direct impact, as I said earlier, the indirect impact on all economies will be profound, and developing economies, LDCs, will probably feel the pain more than many others. And unfortunately, that includes many countries in Africa. Obviously, each nation would like to sort of reinforce its own autonomy and own independence, but America being so big, clearly Trump is using this as a tool, as a lever, to try to change countries' economic and even political behavior. So it's going to be a matter of to what extent are we willing to sacrifice our almost our own principles.
The Nigerian Ports Economic Regulatory Agency bill is currently before President Bola Tinubu for a presidential assent, having successfully scaled through the National Assembly. The Executive Secretary and CEO of the Nigerian Shippers Council, Akuta Pius, disclosed this while speaking at the Council's 2025 operational retreat for middle management staff in Abuja. News Central's maritime correspondent was at the event and filed in this report. Take a look.
The transition from Nigerian Shippers Council to the Nigerian Port Economic Regulatory Agency, NIPERA, is a reflection of President Bola Tinubu's concerted effort to create a more structural and efficient port regulatory system in Nigeria, which underscores the importance of the maritime sector in Nigeria's development. The Executive Secretary and CEO of the Nigerian Shippers Council, Akuta Pius, speaking during the Council's mid-management retreat in preparedness for the transition to NIPERA, noted that the bill will establish a strong, independent regulatory regime with enforceable legal powers.
The transition from the Nigerian Shippers Council to the Nigerian Port Economic Regulatory Agency. You are all aware of the progress we are making in the bill that has been passed by the National Assembly, which is now before Mr. President for assent. This transition, when fully operational, would be an evolutionary case study in Nigeria's maritime and study regulatory framework and port regulatory framework. We are fully supported and encouraged by the Honorable Minister of Marine and Blue Economy, as I said, His Excellency Olugbooyega Oyetola, in our Blue Economy journey. Our sister agencies are also supporting us fully in this regard.
On her part, the president of Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transport, SILT Nigeria, Mfong Unsoro, reiterated the need to have an economic regulator to manage fiscal regulatory issues. While delivering a paper titled Understanding the New Regulatory Environment, Regulatory Framework and Transition, Usoro expressed optimism that NIPERA would provide regulatory framework for effective and efficient economic regulation of port services, guard against arbitrariness and promote fair competition, while expressing her optimism on the preparedness of the workforce for this transition.
What has been self-evident is that they have interest, first of all. They have interest in learning. You can see some of them have really studied the bill and were able to contribute. They asked for volunteers for the panel. We had over 20. I've not seen a large panel like that. I think there were about 25 upwards coming in to form the panel, and each of them made very important contributions, that either identifying the challenges or seeing opportunities that arise from those challenges. Some already have skills in certain areas, but we all recognize that in transiting to an economic regulator, their scope, their role is wider than the current role now, and there is need, as has been identified already, there's need for more investment in training to acquire the skill that they need.
With Akuta's reassurance that the Nigerian Shippers Council would continue to work diligently for the maritime industry by reducing arbitrary charges, enhance stakeholders' engagement, and enhancing robust dispute resolutions, better days await this critical sector. In Abeokuta, for News Central, Norma Obiaswalo.